Hiya squishers, and welcome back to another cozy catch up with me, Kate, in the cwtch with some of the squish. And today, oh my gosh, let's talk about what we've got going on. Today I'm going to talk to you about shop updates, squish, toadstools, wrist warmers, squishy dot blankets, oh my gosh, the new thing that came off my needles, and anything else that I probably got lined up right here on my desk, on my drawer, on here. I've just got so much to show you. So I hope you're ready. Hope you got a drink. I've even got lip balm just in case I just talk myself dry. Oh my gosh, because I'm so excited to see you. So I've managed to squish in some time. Let's get rocking and rolling. Well, I'm currently in between projects. I'm in between projects because I have cast off two of the best things that I have made recently. No joke. If you're new here, like, everything I make that's the newest is the best, and that's the rule. The newest is the best. So it's just how it goes. So I've been casting off things like left, right and centre in the last week because I'm in a mission to clear off whips from my needles, because without the needles I can't make new things, which is what happens, you know. So I've got to release the needles because there's only so many socks I can have on the go, and I can now make a capelet or a squishy dot blanket in record time. So when I have a little bit of knit time, I've kind of powered through it like nobody's business. I remember a little bit of while ago, like I haven't always like power knitted. I haven't always power knit. Power knitting is like a little power that I'm able to pull upon. Do you know, in those times of need where you need that extra bit of knit power when you know that it's like nearing 1 o'clock in the morning, you really do have to go to bed because the children really do need to go to school the next day and I've got to be up early. And you're just like, right, if I can just power through a couple of rows. The time I spent researching and watching videos of people doing speed knitting, wow. If you ever want to improve your knit speed, because I've turned knitting into I feel like a knitting machine most of the time. Like knitting is a serious business for me. So I want to spend my serious business time when I'm knitting, seriously doing it. I would encourage you, if you're interested in increasing your knit game, go and check out people who knit, speed knit. It's just mind-blowing. Needless to say, I'm not speed knitting quite like that, but I have knit a lot since we spoke. So where should we start? Let's start with number one. I'm pretty positive we were halfway through this number, which is a landscape piece I started, or maybe we didn't even do this. Like, this is how much I might have done. Like, I think I might have started this one because I really enjoyed the landscape and I was like, shall I go to sunset? Shall I go all colour? And then I was like, oh, and I remember now, I remember, let's bring the chair closer. I was on a landscape hit because I was at the time, remember this is what I was knitting because I finished it, which I showed in a little video on Instagram during the week. I finished this beauty, which is in slub. And after I cast this off, I kind of had the anticlimax of finishing something. Do you know what I mean? When you are so excited to finish knitting something, like reading not any old good book, a good book. Do you know, a good book that you just don't want to finish, where you're just like, I'll eke it out. This was not an eke it out. This was like, I'm going to bust it out until the end. I literally cast this off and I was like, oh no, what do I do now? That's where I was. And I don't like feeling like that because then I just spend lots of time where I could be knitting doing this. I don't really just stand around doing this because that would be really odd, especially with children or John around. I just can't. But mostly my brain just goes, like I haven't prepared the next program of work. So I'm just like, so slub was where I was. I was slubbing it to the max. And whilst we're chatting slub, because it's right here in front, oh dear, it matched the jumper I made. Like, oh my gosh, just because I just have them both here to show you. I love the fact that these two coordinated so well, and actually I've tried them on together and they look like, this is essentially a blanket, but if you folded it over, it's a beautiful squishy shawl. And the amendments for this are on the blog if you didn't catch it. This is a squishy dot blanket in slub and sock together. And the colours I used for some of this were hillside and strawberry. And talking about slub, I have got, because obviously I've had John for a day or so lately with the children back in school, I have got slub galore in the shop, because if you're new here and we're jumping straight into it, Diane, woohoo! I love colour so much. This is kind of what I do. So there's slub in the shop if you want to go and look at some squishy slub. Slub is like the most fun ever. It has got so much texture and tone to it. Like you could literally get lost in those. Not like get lost, but you know what I mean. So this slub is in ready to ships on the shop. On the shop, which is www.kateslane.co.uk. But this stuff is always inspiring. Whenever I think about knitting landscape type things, I always reach for texture, because landscape and texture to me, they go together. Even in knitting, like you don't, there's loads of different ways to create texture when you knit. Like I love putting a different textured border on something so it really lifts it off. But these types of colours, they have, it's like an, it has like an inbuilt flower meadow into it. So it does all the work for me, and all these interesting plops and blops of colour. And on its own, it looks like this, because that's combined with sock. I just love slub. I always need excuses to knit with slub. This is in Whiz Bang, and this is what it looks like crocheted up in Galaxy. This one is this one here, which is in the shop. This is Galaxy on slub. And there are like sweater quantities of them in there as well, which is just because I'm preparing to make sweaters, of course, because it's getting colder. But it's got just such a beautiful drape to it. So I slubbed it to the max with the blankets. I was like, slub, slub, slub. And then I came to a crashing halt. So I was like, right, things to do. We did toadstools next, because that was the next thing on the list, because I've started a new toadstool wrist warmer. Oh, look, boom. These kits are in the shop. They went out to Squishers first, and they nabbed up loads of the gift sets, which I love, with the wrist holder things. But these are in the shop. The kits are in the shop to knit these ones. But this is where I was going. So I had another landscape project on the go. And because these colours, I don't know what it is about these colours. These are ones I did like years and years and years ago. And I've changed the colours in my palette so many different times. It was really nice to go back in time to revisit some colours that I first started using. So these are the colours that went in here. And I'm even thinking of making another knit, a woodland knit, in these colours, because they've just got such an appeal to them. I don't know what it is. So these kits are in the shop under the Squish palette section. Just pop out the website and there's like a little thing in there. So toadstools, I was like, okay, I'm covered with landscape. I've got that covered. What next? So I was inspired by the other wrist warmer. This one, which was the first one to this one. And I was like, oh, can I go? I have like an aversion to using black for no other reason other than it's the only colour I used to live in. Before this happened, like something happened and then all this happened afterwards. So I had a whole different colour palette where mostly I was wearing black and grey. Those were my favourite colours. And I have a load of those tones in my colour palette and they always go with something else. But this time, I just thought, can I work with my paintings and feel good about that black balance in my knitting? How do I feel about that? So I had a look at my paintings and I thought, do you know what? And I'll show you what I'm talking about. I had a look at my paintings and I was like, do you know what? This is kind of where I want to go. I want to have like that really powerful colour on the bottom and the sunset vibe at the top, or something like this. We've got these punchy oranges where the sunset is coming down and you're just like wandering into the fields, so that it wasn't just such a void of colour, more a colour that allowed this other colour to shine through. You know what I mean? That is where I was at. So I knit something. And I think some of you must be in my project bag, because it was really weird. I saw some of the comments on my last video and I was like, okay, this has got to be, I'm going to put that there, one of my most favourite things I've knit in a while, because it's just like, there's game changers for me. And sometimes I knit things, I'm like, ooh, oh, wow. That's what this piece is. So we're going to talk squishy dot blankets, sunsets, because that's where my heart was taking me next. I was thinking colour, but I need some context, because otherwise there's a lot of choice, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of choices. So I was like, the jumper, I love, like this jumper here is like the embodiment of like a sunset that I really, really wanted to go for. So I was like, let's try it. So, are you ready? I'm gonna count to 3, and then I hold it up and you can see what you think. You ready? 1, 2, 3. I just absolutely cannot stop picking it up. And even John said to me, wow, it's so flat. I was like, yeah, I know, I blocked it. I know, I even blocked it. I was so into it. I was like, yes. So that I can get all these points, because the squishy dot blanket isn't actually a circle, which gives it these beautiful kicks when you make it into other things. So these beautiful kicks are really accentuated by all of the speckly dots all the way around. Look at that. And that was 2 skeins of coal with a range of fading in and out sunset rainbow type colours with a trim of blue Cosmo on the edge. And I was just I just couldn't, this is how I felt. What is next? Because obviously if I can do this with a squishy dot blanket, I could do it with a Capelet, which is ultimately where we're going with this, isn't it? It's like, because that's the next big thing I'm releasing. If you haven't seen the Capelet, I've got loads of versions to show you. So many of them. Small ones, big ones, squishy ones, ones with cowls, ones without cowls, ones that are made in landscape colours, ones that are made in like all the colours. But until we get there, which will be very soon, so just sign up to Squishmail, because that is coming out next month. So October, the squishy dot blanket adaptations and the Capelet will be released, because we need to knit to stay warm. But don't worry, you don't have to wonder. I did it anyway. I was like, oh my gosh, let's just give it a go, because John said to me after I made this one, he was like, oh, that's just totally different. And I was like, I know, it's totally different, but look at it next to the wrist warmer. Have a look at that. Oh, I just love it. And like my son's, do you know what I mean? Like pow, like that pow color. So John said, maybe you should have a break. And I was like, no way, maybe for 10 minutes. Until I've got my other yarn wound ready to go. I know, I've done both of them in the week, which just shows you how excited I am. That is the main key to me getting stuff done. If I am super excited, there's no problem. I will just be like, pow, 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 pow. If I've gone off the boil on it, it might take a little bit longer to get done. This and this, I was like, yes! Can I get any more colour in it? Yeah, I can. This is a skein of Alma on Boucle de Quai and coal. This is 1 skein here, and I think it's about 50 grams in total of the Alma. And I just had to try it out as the Capelet pattern, because obviously when we knit it next, when we knit it all together, because I'll do a video about it, because there are so many things to show you about it. This is going to be one of the options as well, because obviously we've got this option up here, which is just like a stripy licorice all sorts. I love this. And that is based on paintings like the one up there. And then I've got like loads of different color combinations to do. So I was just transported to a different place where I saw knits in a different way. And also, I totally got over that feeling about the big expanses of black. And it does not swallow up the colour. In fact, it does exactly what I wanted it to. Well, it does for me anyway. That I kind of almost wanted to not stop at 2 skeins. I thought I could probably keep on going and going and going and going and going until I just camouflaged into everything, and everything in the house was spotty. Oh my gosh, I could make a red one with white spots. That would be something I have to do, especially towards Christmas. Imagine that, a red one with white spots. So that is my squishy news, folks. I've had an absolute, I'm looking around for the dots because this is the one that I'm going to be doing next. These dots on the Capelet, because these dots on a Capelet would be like my slice of pie. And then I'll be complete. I will be a complete knitting human being. And that is something that really I can't speak highly enough of. And that feeling of being in charge of your knits, like a lot of my knit patterns, all of my knit patterns, if you want to try any of my patterns, lots of these are already available to download for free on the website. No purchase necessary. They're there for free to get you excited and inspired. That's it. There are so many patterns that you can twist and shake, add and change to make them your own, which is really, really important, because if they're not your own, then you don't really feel like you own them, in my mind. And there's so much to be said about having a bit of bravery with colour, because I could never, 6 years ago, I would never have seen this as my colour future. No way. Not even like this bit. No way. Like I would never walk out the house with no way. Like even think no way. Like I was just not that colour person. Like it's just not what I would do. I always thought colour was for other people. Which is weird, because colour is for everybody, and it just totally is a game changer. Just like the fact that this Toadstool wrist warmer, I love this pattern so much, because it is like I think it was one of my first that I did. One of the first that I did, and it was one of my favourite, because obviously toadstools are a huge thing for me in my creative life for lots of reasons, which I should probably tell you on or maybe a story time with Kate. But toadstools are big for me, and I always have ways of falling in love with those patterns over and over and over again, like just simply switching up the colours. This is what I'm going to do with them next. I'm going to try this colour set like that. So I have pink toadstools, this colour in the background, and this colour on the bottom. Boom. It doesn't just have to be what you think it is. Like a sunset doesn't have to just be a sunset. It could be anything. And that's kind of what I've learned about colour, is that there's no rules. Well, there are rules if you want to follow them, but you can choose to do whatever you like, whenever you like, however you like, in general. So if you're looking at the background going, wow, there's lots of colour there, like that is like a step beyond me. Imagine making something a bit more subtler. So maybe it's not this pow sunset background that I've aspired to have, but maybe it's something like a cool blue, and then you've got beautiful greens flecking through it, because that's where I'm going next, is where can I get landscapey with this? Like, can you, or can I, of course, this is where I'm going, can I landscape myself a journey? What can all these little dots tell me about the colours that surround me outside? Because that is just what I love. Being able to bring all the things that I see outside, or the things I experience, and even stuff that I don't. Like, this place is not real. This is not a real place. This is a place that exists in my mind for the time that I painted this. It is so nice to know that you can just make up your inspiring stuff. So if you're struggling sometimes, because not struggling, maybe you're not struggling is the right word, maybe you're just like, what next? Like I am, like, what next? Have a little think about what you want. What do you want? What's going to excite you? What's going to engage you? What's going to make you want to pick up those needles at like 12:30 at night, not an ideal color, and knit, because you know that there's so much satisfaction in the knitting because you get that much closer to finishing it. Oh my gosh. Like, it's just, that's what you need, isn't it? When you knit or make anything, is just real love and enthusiasm, because that will make you power through anything. I'll tell you now. You can power through a lot of things with some love and enthusiasm. Like you can turn a tide. So as you can see, I can't stop touching it. I feel like it's a pet. Look, I feel like it's a pet. I keep having it on my model doll thing, and I'm like, ooh. So I'm gonna have to make a bigger one. So there you go, squishes. I have had a delightful week, cramming everything into the same box and more, and managing to get more knitting done than I expected, which is fabulous. So what's my next adventure? I don't know. It's going to be a week till we speak next time on here, and you know, I do have thoughts about making a jumper, because tubes are calling me. I've got them hanging up around here. They're on the wall. The tube jumpers are calling me. Like, this is like the tube jumpers. And I know how this is just a project we can all get into, tube jumpers. So I'm thinking tube jumpers with spots. Spots is where I'm at, because I've got them everywhere at the moment. I'm just like surrounding myself with spots and dots and dots and spots, because coming up to Christmas, I kind of want to have my knits sorted. I don't want to be wondering what I'm going to knit over my Christmas break, because I'm going to have a couple of days where I'm going to be knit. I can be free to knit, and I want to be able to like power through. So I'm going to be maybe writing a list of my desirable knits, thinking about some color palettes, and just working out what to do next. Big or small, big or small. It's coming up to autumn. I can see pumpkins on my desk. Maybe something autumn inspired. Who knows? Do you see what I mean? There's so many choices I could make. Oh, comments down below. Give me a hand. What are you going to be making? How do you decide? That there's just, for me, I can just get like completely paralyzed with choice, and then find it very easy, all in one go, and then just like explode with ideas. So I'm going to stop blathering. If you would like to catch up on the stuff that's going on weekly, you can jump onto my Squishmail, where you'll find out about the stuff that goes in the shop first, which is www.kateslene.co.uk. I write a blog, you can catch up on there as well, and I'm over on Instagram. And I guess, unless we could be here all day. There's like baskets, we could talk about it all, but we've got Capelets to catch up on, because that's coming out next. And until then, keep your eyes out for the email about signups for the new landscape adventure I'm running. Yay! Because it is going to be something for me to anchor to over the next couple of months. And actually, I've got some spaces in my landscape colour palette that need filling. So there you go. So until then, squishers, I'll see you next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you know that when my new videos come out. And I shall see you next time. Bye!